In response to my opponent's argument that legalizing same-sex marriage should be the top priority of the LGBT civil rights movement, I must state that prioritizing the movement in such a way is neither effective, holistic, or prudent. Activists must turn their attention first to the countless other pressing issues facing the LGBT demographic, in particular, taking steps to eradicate the intolerant and dangerous cultural stigma against the LGBT community. These steps include, in particular, lobbying for hate crimes legislation, educating America's youth against discrimination, and reaching out to LGBT individuals who may be suffering severely from stigmatization. The first problem with focusing the civil rights movement on legalizing same-sex marriage is its alienation of a significant sector of the LGBT population. The LGBT civil rights movement aims to improve the lives of all members of the LGBT community, not just the segment seeking marriage. The right to marry, meanwhile, while very important to some, is not immediately pertinent to the lives of many LGBT individuals, including youth who have yet to consider it, those who have no desire to get married, and those who are entirely comfortable with a domestic partnership or other non-marriage arrangement. The civil rights movement needs to offer individuals such as these a tangible and relevant goal to work towards, or else risk losing their vital loyalty and support. My opponent stated that making the legalization of same-sex marriage a primary pursuit would not be divisive. However, I quite frankly believe it has the potential to become just that. Focusing on same-sex marriage also does not provide a solution to another alienation issue, the role of the T, or transgender, in LGBT. My opponent claims that the legalization of same-sex marriage addresses the grievances of the transgender community as completely as it does for lesbians, gays, and bisexuals. However, it seems it in fact does the exact opposite. While legalizing same-sex marriage may solve a logistical problem for transgenders, it still awards them second place. It forces them to accept the label of gay marriage on their unions, instead of actually recognizing that the gender they identify with is different from their sex. It continues the societal failure to acknowledge the unique nature of their situation and their right to determine how their gender should be classified. The voice of the transgender individual is better heard through addressing other issues relevant to the LGBT community, such as eliminating cultural stigmas against alternative gender and sexual preferences, as I have mentioned before. This stigma remains unfortunately powerful across the nation. One need not look beyond his or her own neighborhood to notice. Given this reality, we must question the overall effectiveness of the legalization of same-sex marriage in furthering the civil rights movement at all. While my opponent is correct in affirming that permission to wed brings with it many other legal rights, how can we guarantee that these rights will not be manipulated by future discrimination or even legislation if such a powerful social obstacle as the stigma is still in play? My opponent believes that marriage will serve as a normalizing force for the queer community, but what if that normalization comes only with the sacrifice of actual respect for them as people? They will either have to conform to a strict and intolerant definition of marriage, most likely involving the manipulation of the rights they will supposedly gain alongside their new legal privilege, or else rage still stronger against such intolerance, and drive their opponents even further away from understanding their position and their feelings. Such risk of terrible and potentially irreversible backlash brings me to another point. Making same-sex marriage the top priority of the LGBT civil rights movement is simply not prudent at this moment in time. My opponent says that the movement can benefit from any public attention, even negative attention, as the legalization of same-sex marriage would undoubtedly cause amongst conservative circles. This, however, is the last thing the civil rights movement needs. The LGBT community has already spent decades trying to break down stereotypes of being flamboyant, amoral, and recklessly controversial. Negative backlash over the legalization of same-sex marriage would severely set back the progress made in this endeavor. The time has not yet arrived when this backlash would be insignificant. Not enough has been accomplished on other issues, again, like hate crimes legislation and tolerance education. The number of Americans supporting same-sex marriage only just passed the 50% mark this year. Why shouldn't the LGBT community wait, as a judicious stockbroker might, until the numbers are more on their side? If the upward trend continues, which all data seems to point to it doing, the optimal moment to strike will arrive within the decade. In the meantime, a host of other issues can be more practically and efficiently addressed. The LGBT civil rights movement has made incredible progress, but it still has a daunting war to wage. Making reasonable decisions involving movement priorities is of infinite importance to their capability of putting up such a fight. Therefore, it is crucial the movement put eradicating through various means the powerful cultural stigma they face before legalizing same-sex marriage. Such prudent, effective, and holistic strategy can and will deliver their cause.